Hello everyone, thanks for joining me on Making with Marilyn today. Now in Kansas the weather has gotten cool and it has me thinking about fall. So I want to make some earrings today that are darker in color and they're more fall and winter friendly. So I'm going to click on shapes and I'll get a circle. For my earrings I need 2 circles to start with, so I'll click on duplicate. Now just move this one out of the way. My first circle is going to be the top piece of an earring, and I'm going to attach a post to it. And I want it to be 0.65 inches in diameter. So since the lock is on, when I press enter, we'll get a circle instead of it stretching one side and not the other. If lock was off, I would have turned it into a long, skinny oval. Now, on this circle, I do want an oval. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock, and then I want it to be 1.375 inches wide, and I want it to be 2 inches in height. Then I'll go ahead and change the color of it, and I'll place it right under the black circle. Now I'm going to cut my own holes. If you wanted the Cricut to cut any holes for you, you could use 0.08 or 0.07 inch diameter hole, and you could place it where you want the Cricut to cut them. The top piece of my earring is going to be black leather, and I'm actually going to attach a post to the back instead of putting a fish hook in the top. Then I'll have a hole right here and a hole in the top of this cork cheetah pattern. And then I'll attach the two with a black jump ring. Now that I have my basic shapes, I can just select both of them and click duplicate. So we'll go ahead and click make it. Since I have my fine point blade in my machine right now, I want to go ahead and start with the cork pattern. It'll require the fine point blade. The black one will require the deep point blade. And then I always move my earrings so I know where to put my material, and then I want a little room around the material so that I can put some tape down. Now if there were anything on these earrings that had to face a certain direction, you would want to mirror both layers, but in this case it really doesn't matter. So I'll go ahead and click continue. With my cork I've used a setting called shimmer leather. So I'm just going to search for shimmer leather, then I use this 1mm, and it does a really nice job. So notice here it says to have my fine point blade in, then I'm ready to load my material. Now on a recent video I forgot to change settings between layers, so don't make that mistake. When it's time to do this layer, I'm actually going to use a genuine leather setting, and again I'll have to use my deep point blade for that. I'll go ahead and change the camera angle around so you can see the cuts. Here's the materials that I'm using today. This is a super cute cheetah print cork. You can see there's some gold flecks in that. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, right there. And then my circles that I'll attach my post to are just a plain black leather, fairly smooth. Now I learned the hard way the first time I cut this cork fabric that I needed to put something under it to protect my mat. My mat ended up getting stained with this cheetah print. The blacks especially came through on my mat. So before I get started on putting my cork down, I'm just going to put a little piece of this clear matte contact paper down, sticky side up. So I just set it down on my mat. That helps hold it down, and then you can get it to peel up. Now remember, my design was 2 inches down and 2 inches over. So I'll make sure that I have contact paper under that area. Now I realize I probably should have cut that contact paper a little bit larger. So when I brayer this down, I'll really focus mainly on the area that will be cut. Now the other thing that I like to do for a little added insurance is I like to just put some super hold tape around the edges. So I should be using my brayer. I forgot to get it handy, so I'll just press down on this leather. Now when you're cutting leather, there's a lot of force put against the material, and so that's why I like to put a little added insurance with tape. It's not as important on the cork fabric. It usually cuts really, really nicely, but I just kind of figure for a few cents, it's probably worth it. So I'm going to move my star wheels so they don't go over where my cut is. I don't want those indentions. And let's go ahead and send this to the maker. Now, if you happen to keep track of that, it made each cut 3 times. And that cut is simply flawless. Perfect. So I just like to fold my mat back so I don't have to really dig into my material with my nails to get it off. And there's one layer of our earrings. After removing my contact paper, this time because I am using genuine leather and I want to protect my mat from getting all the fibers from the leather on it, I'm going to put some strong grip Cricut transfer tape under where my cut will be. Now this is a really small cut. It's just 2 very small circles. And on this you really don't need excess of the contact paper or the Cricut transfer tape because I'm just protecting my mat where the blade actually cuts through. That's where the fibers tend to be deposited on your mat. So again, just stick it down. That'll help pull up the backing. And I will need to go back to my computer and change my settings and get my circles set where I want them. Okay, so I set my settings on genuine leather, just the default pressure, and it tells me I need to change to my deep point blade. That is my deep point blade. I'm going to press out the blade, just make sure it's clean. Then again, my cut's going to be 2 inches down and 2 inches over, and so I'm giving myself a little bit of extra room. I could trim this down, but I don't really think I need to. I think you waste less if you just keep using one piece over and over, if you can get away with it. Again, I'll put some tape around where the cut will be. Then I'll put a little down here just to hold the leather down this way so it doesn't want to push up as the blade goes through. Now this time the blade went through the material twice per cut, and again we have just a really nice cut job. The only thing I need to do is I still have the transfer paper on the front, so without using my nail I just start peeling on it and it grabs onto my finger and I can remove it. Now when you're working with leather, you are going to get just a little bit of frays, and there's multiple ways to deal with those. You can put a product on it that coats the edges. It's just kind of a tacky glue-like product, and that can smooth your edges down. Or you can use some scissors and trim at an angle from the back side. That's what I typically do. Or in this case, since we're using a really dark leather, my preferred method when I'm using really dark leather is just to burn the frays off. So, because this piece is so small, I'm going to hold it with these little tweezers. Now, when you do this, you want to do it this back edge. You don't want the fire to touch the front. It will melt it. And you want to go rather quickly because you can melt or you can misshape. When it gets hot, it'll start pulling in the leather. Now on the larger pieces, I just hold it with my hand and I make sure to keep the fire away from it. But with this small 0.65 inch circle, I'm using these tweezers, and that turned out really nicely. Here's my two circles. I haven't used the fire on the other one yet, and you can see this is the one that I treated with the lighter, and this is the one that I have not yet burnt the fraise off. So it does make a significant difference. Now, if you have not used this method before, I would practice on some scrap pieces before you take a product that you've invested a lot of time and money in, and just make sure that you get the feel on how to do it. Now, I'm going to put a post on the back of these. So to thicken or harden this material, I'm actually just going to put some glue on the back. Once it dries, this leather will be a lot stiffer. If you don't want to use posts on the back of yours, let's say you just want to punch holes and use fish hooks, that's fine. I'm just kind of going for a different look today. So I'm putting it on with a little coffee stir stick, but then I am just going to have to get my hands dirty because I want to really burnish this into the leather itself. I don't know if burnish is the right word. Maybe just rub it into the fibers. And by doing this one step, those will turn out nice and sturdy and something that you could put a post on the back of. Now, if you get any on the front, be sure and wipe that off. Now I'm going to let that dry for about 10 minutes, and probably by the time I'm done washing my hands and punching holes in the other piece of the earrings, those might be ready. Okay, well, we're giving these a few more minutes to get just to a point where we can adhere something to the back of them. They are not going to be quite dry when I do that, but that's okay. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and punch the holes in my two oval pieces. This is a leather punch tool, also called leather pliers, and I'm going to use this 5/64 inch setting. It's the smallest setting in this pair of pliers. And I'm just going to try to get it in the center, fairly close to the top, not so close that it wants to rip out, but close enough that I don't have to use a huge jump ring to connect the earrings together. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure down until I know it's where I want my hole. And then when I'm ready to commit, I'm just going to press. And there we go. There's our hole. Now, if it doesn't come all the way out, just poke it through with something like a toothpick or your weeding tool, and it'll come right out. Now, for my black leather, it's upside down, but here's what it's going to look like. Right like that. And I have these posts that I ordered off of Amazon. They're a stainless steel, so they are hypoallergenic. And then to adhere those to the back of the leather, I'm going to use this E6000 glue. Now, the way I like to do this is just push out just a little blob, so to speak. And then I put my post on it and I kind of push up. If there's a little excess, just at least get it to this side of the post. You may have some spread out from under the post. That's okay. It comes off rather nicely when it's gotten tacky. I did find out the hard way that if you wait until the next day when it is set and you try to pull those, because it's still very pliable the next day, it stays pliable. But if you wait until the next day to try to pull those excess pieces off, it can pull out from under the post. And so I learned, stick your post down. Then I like to put pressure on it for just about 10 seconds, equal pressure on both sides. And then a few minutes later, once it is starting to get tacky, then go ahead and remove the excess E6000 so that it doesn't rip off what you want to keep under the post. Okay, so we'll do the other one. Okay, so I think I'll move this one over just a little bit. You probably can't even tell in the camera that I moved it. And then I'm going to try to get this excess off before it, let me move that a little bit more. There we go. Try to get this excess off before it really starts setting. So while I'm holding the post in place, just scrape off that excess glue. Now, I really should have done this next step before I did that. I was not thinking clearly, but what I need to do now is I need to put a hole so that you can attach the round black piece to your cork piece. So I'm going to be really careful and try not to mess up. And because it's a circle, it really doesn't matter what part of the circle you put it on. Really, you just need to make sure that you are the right distance off the edge of the circle. Okay, I hope this works. That post is up against this tool. I'm going to bend it over a little bit. Okay, it worked, but that was not the ideal way to do this. I really should have punched my hole first, but I just got so excited to move on. Okay, so now I'll have my post, my black circle, and then my cheetah print. And it'll look like that. Now I could use gold since there's some gold flecks in here, but I don't think that I really want the gold to stand out as much. I want the overall look of the black and the brown and the tan to stand out. So I think I'll use these little black jump rings, and these are 6mm jump rings. Hopefully they're big enough to connect those two. If not, then I have some 8mm black jump rings. So we're going to start with the 6mm and see if those are large enough. I'm going to take my little needle nose pliers and hold the earring alongside of where the opening is. Now the opening, if you can see it, is right here. So I want to have a lot of surface space held so that the jump rings don't twist when you bend them. Then I like to find the smallest slit that the jump ring will fit in, and then you just twist to open it. Now we're going to slide the jump ring through the hole in the earring. And then this is the face. I want face to face. So I'm going to put this back piece on so that the face of it goes down to the face of the circle. Then in reverse, I'm going to grab as much of the surface of the jump ring that I can, and then simply twist it back into place. So that came together nicely. You can always adjust them a little bit if you need to. Okay, then we have a really cute earring. Now this jump ring is a little bit tight, but it does work. I think on the next one I'm going to use one of the larger ones, and then we'll see which one we like better. All right, twist it back into place. And there's our finished earring. Now, I think I like the larger jump ring a little bit better. I think it hangs better. So I'm going to change this one out. Okay, after using these larger jump rings, I think that is the right way to go. I think they look so much better with the larger jump rings than the smaller jump ring. And I think those are just beautiful. Great fall colors, great winter colors, super easy to make, and just adorable. Now, I would not wear these until tomorrow because the E6000 on this post really needs to cure before you wear them. So I would wait at least a day. Now, if you like my video, found anything in it helpful, inspiring, or you just enjoy watching YouTube videos, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section. And if you'd like to see what I'll be working on in the future, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Marilyn. Bye-bye.